I feel like results are pretty neutral. And in fact, you know, slight tangent, but like all of the great masters kind of say that, in our lowest times and in our highest times, that we still should kind of stay centered, in like neutrality, like not get lost in the highs of life. But also, it goes the same way. Don't get lost in the lows of life, but rather stay in center.
Hey there, tech enthusiasts. Welcome to Tech Time with Sweet Tea, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of technology and how it can either serve you or, well, not serve you. Here is your host, Sweet Tea, and he's on a mission to help you harness the power of tech in your life. Join him as he chats with people about their tech journeys. From the latest gadgets to digital dilemmas, we'll explore it all. So grab your favorite device, hit that play button, and let's keep it real in the world of tech. Tech Time with Sweet Tea is here to help you stay plugged in and empowered. Let's get started.
Nazaret, how are you doing?
I'm doing
we
good.
first met up a couple months ago at the Summit of Greatness in Los Angeles.
I'm doing pretty good. The summit was awesome. That time, that season of my life was awesome. And it's been 6 months? Yeah, like 5-6 months since then. And so definitely been living a lot of life since then. But it's all been for the greater good. So
Sorry, I got this.
I'm doing great. All good, bro.
It just looks like natural, more natural.
Perfect.
All these switches. So yeah, some of the greatest. It was great catching up with that, and great time meeting you and everything,
Yes.
and connecting with the Facebook group initially, and then meeting up then and getting connected with someone actually from Houston area. We're meeting up at where it all started for me at Sam Houston State, where I learned how to do all this broadcasting and stuff.
Dang.
And now I'm here, have my own equipment. I'm doing a live in-person podcast on the campus where it all began.
Amazing.
So I want to keep
Let's go Bearcats.
Go Bearcats, and I took 2 classes at U of H as well.
That's right. Let's go Cougs.
So I want to keep this the direction of this flow since we started a little bit later than I imagined. I'll keep this. I have notes and everything. I would just want to keep the direction going here. We're live on Facebook. I can't see the chat too well if anyone's saying, "Hey, sorry." I'll get back to the comments. The computer's way over there. I can see myself. Hi. I can see myself. This is all happening live on the campus of Sam Houston State. Go. Where's that email? Come on. And is this? No, that's not it. That's not it. And all right. So we're here on the campus, and I want to get into kicking it off. What's good? We did that already. How we linked up with some of the greatness. How's the Houston hustle going? Last thing.
The Houston hustle, as of lately? Well, for me or in general? Because in general, I'd say that Houston is booming. Growing up there, seems like it's a lot more busy now, a lot more crowded, which, of course, the statistics would say that is true. So yeah, it's very much of a hustle culture kind of city. But for me personally, my hustle has been going really well. I pretty much for 8 or 9 months now have been self-employed and teaching piano is the main source of income right now. And I'm really thankful to say that it's been going really well for me. Not just bringing in money and all these essential things for a business to operate, but also feeling like I'm making an impact in people's lives.
That's
That for me
good.
is the greatest reward. So yeah, hustle is going good.
Making an impact with music, nonetheless. Piano, music, teaching. Oh, like what exactly? Like young kids or anyone as students or something.
Yeah, so I've worked with students of all ages, as young as 3 years old and as old
Wow.
as 70 plus.
So all wide range of ages.
Yes, and
That's
right
really
now my students are on the younger side. I think my oldest is maybe like 14 or so, and I got several that are in that younger than 10 range. So a lot of young kids.
So yeah, great stuff. As said, this I want to get into all this in the meat of the episode and everything. We have about maybe a little less than an hour for total episode, but I want to get into the meat of like talking about coming back here to the campus. This is when I come back here. It's always been a recharge, reset for me every time, especially where kind of disoriented right now where we're at, but where the building where I was at, I was planning to have all this set up, but
Yeah.
someone was taking over the location at the last minute, so I decided to come here.
Yeah.
When every time I walk in that building, it all comes back to me. It all and it's a moment of recharge. And like when I was there, I was living in that TV studio. If we get time right for a short minute, I can show you real quick if it's not being used, but or maybe another time too. That this can always be another time. But whenever I come back there, it comes back to me that I was learning the studio, and people would always they would learn that Tommy Sweet Tea always knew the TV studio, and they'd always come to me then once they figured it out, like, and they'd ask me the question, how does this work? How does that work?
Yeah.
And then that every time I come back here, that's what comes back to me. So when we talk recharge, resetting, break, step back, where it all
Yes.
began, that's what coming back here does for me. And I want to get into that with you. I know you did something a month ago. I try to do like a week, and within a week do this like at least one day. Like I go without my phone, but you did it for. I don't know, did you go without the phone, or did you stayed off social media from it? Does that
Yeah.
how would that work?
Yeah, you're talking about I think you're talking about October. Last October,
I thought it was October.
where I did a sober October and a month off of social media, and also a 4-day water fast.
Water fast, so nothing but water for 4 days and no social media. How did what did you get out of that? So I said several times like you were tempted to get back on. Like how did that like go overall? Like
Well, overall, it was a very, very healing month, like a month of growth, and just even just for example, the fast. The fast happened like halfway through the month, and that was really powerful too. It all came together in a sense because, in a sense, when I let go of eating food, for example, or when I let go of my vices, or things that I just, enjoy doing, and getting off of social media. So, like, I actually don't think I even shared on social media that I did the fast at all up to this point. And so it was just me and the light of the creator, we could say. It was just me and God in the room, me and my thoughts. And so, of course, I did also interact with people. I drove up to Dallas to break the fast with the group of people I was fasting with, and even reconnected with an old high school friend while I was up there. And this was after I broke the fast, but it was kind of crazy to or just a new experience for me to be there with him in Dallas and not smoke anything, not drink anything. We ate good food, but it just kind of was a month where the person that I was, or who I thought I was, really just really, even more than before, it just kind of started to change
All right.
from
So
the inside out.
from the inside out. So sober October is what you called it. Like, so like talking about the pause, you did this pause from a lot of things, from food, from internet, and you did just connecting in person with group of friends. What I'm hearing.
That's right.
Question on here. Was there like a wake up call that you like that you needed to do this, or did you say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this right in the beginning of October"? Was there a wake up call?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not anything like super dramatic, but just the fact that I have been calling in greatness into my life. I've been calling in miracles really into my life. And so much ancient wisdom points us to the the blessings that come when we can strengthen our will and our mind enough to let go of food for a period. You know, we detach from the flesh, from the things that the body, you know, the primitive self, the animal tells us that we need. And that allows for us to connect more with the higher self, you know, the self that is not, it's the higher self. So this higher self is what can, that's where our intuition comes through. And I really needed to tap into that at that time. And I'm still in a similar phase, but before October, one of my friends, one of my brothers, Paul, shout out to Paul Uggy up in Dallas, chiropractor and light worker. Man, he's the truth. This brother, he was the one that organized the fast.
The H.
That's right. And Paul just published on social media in September. He's like, "Hey, doing a 4-day fast," and I really respect Paul and the wisdom he brings through from being a chiropractor, and also just his heart. I really do. When people say anything, I kind of feel more into what they're saying rather than, or the energy behind what they're saying rather than the words that they're saying. And so, anyways, I respect this brother a lot. He put it out there that he's leading the fast. And yeah, I just wanted to clear my mind and get closer to the source of creation.
Talking about clearing your minds, and we're stepping back from things. You were definitely in October. I'm gonna do one more step back to a month before that and mention Summit of Greatness.
Yes.
Summit Spark came up here in my notes here. Did from Lewis House or the crew or anything that weekend when we were there? What flipped the switch for you during that weekend right before this sober October?
Yeah. Well, the summit was awesome. I got to connect with you. I got to connect with a bunch of other cool people. Man, the whole trip was like really awesome. And as far as what triggered it, I mean, I got to give my shout out to all the speakers. I mean, my top two, my personal favorite, they're David Goggins, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I also really loved.
David Goggins was fire.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Too much that they didn't even put his recording up on the podcast. They put everyone else up, but they didn't put David Goggins up.
Dang, I wonder why. But Cody as well.
Maybe the language thing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm speculating here.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to check in on that because someone did share it, Misfit Vegan, something like that. She's the one that dropped it.
I took heavy notes from it and everything.
Oh yeah, I still went back afterwards and I listened to what he said because, I really love. Okay, yes, this kind of sums it up in a sense actually because David Goggins said something there, and he said this before. I've heard him say it. How sometimes as people, especially at an event like Summit of Greatness, it can be easy to fall into the trap of being a person that just goes to workshops, a person that just goes to events and doesn't really apply what they've learned. And so he said at the summit, but also many times, it's like, you know what to do, that we don't need more knowledge. We don't need more information. We don't need to go to another seminar. Of course, there's benefits to it. I mean, obviously, but at a certain point, if you know that there is work, like really hard work that you're avoiding, then everything else is just kind of mental masturbation. We're playing with ourselves rather than following the path. And so, of course, taking the wisdom from everyone else, like Cody Sanchez, who, she said something like, by the time like you're thinking about like starting that business or whatever, and you're like procrastinating and all that, someone else has already made 5 mistakes, revised it, and is now like on chapter 2 of building such thing. And so I really just took it as the whole experience as like just get into action,
I think you told me this like off air, but was those the two? Because I think someone else that was there that you were looking to, like you came. I know what's his name, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, yeah.
So I know we talked about that a little bit too. Like, you were going there. You told me off camera. Looking for, going to look. You were looking forward to what he had to say and everything.
Oh yes, yeah. Because for those of you guys that don't know Dr. Joe Dispenza, look him up. Read his books. Listen to all of his podcast interviews. He has several with Lewis Howes, and they're among his top viewed podcasts. But yeah, I mean, as far as going to see him and absorbing his knowledge, the words that he has to say, I mean, before the summit, I had already read some of his books, listened to a bunch of podcasts, like immersed myself in his work, done his meditations, many of them. And dude, he's the real deal. And so just when, I guess to say that the things that he said were things that I've already heard him say. Okay, of course they hit differently, like being in person, but the big thing that I took away from him is just seeing him in the flesh, and just it's interesting too, just the way people, I mean, all the speakers got big rounds of applauses, but Dr. Joe Dispenza's was special because even I was sitting at the top at the summit, and so there were still like some spaces in between people, but I saw people stand up, myself included, and like, give him his applause and his cheers. And so he is widely adored globally by truth seekers, by people who live from the heart. And so, yeah, I still want to go to one of his events since he holds these really awesome meditation retreats. But we'll just have to see if that's in the cards at some point.
It will be just a matter of the time when it becomes the right time. Whenever it happens, it's the right time.
Right. Yes.
I got something in my eye as I'm moving on. So like I get real quick on this burnout trap. Have you ever felt like a moment where you're going into something and before when you had to make that step back and like where you found your moment of clarity? Was there a moment where you hit a wall and you just said like, "Oh, I'm just done with that," and it's time for or was it when the last time that happened?
Like a burnout type of moment where we shift like almost like a 180.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, many moments, many moments of burnout. Yeah, as far as hitting a wall, man, I mean, I feel like I'm still coming up against walls, but it's like I'm moving with more grace rather than because in the past, like if we were talking about like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 years ago, even I guess like a year ago, I had this strong idea about a lot of things, whether it be my music career, my romantic relationships, my income situation, like lots of times where I'd feel like come on, God, I'm doing everything that like what am I doing wrong? What am I missing here? Like my marriage is falling apart. God, like but I did everything right, you know? Like where did I go wrong? Or if I'm low on cash, I'll tell myself like, God, where did I go wrong? Did you want me to work more hours or something? Or like so I've had many moments like that in the past decade, I would say, but if you want, I could go into any one of those, but I'll just say that I'm still coming up against walls, so to speak, but now it's with way more grace, and I'm sure it's like a symbiotic relationship where because I move with more grace, I get better results, better outcomes, or I'm getting better outcomes because oh no, that's the same way. So
Like less tension.
yeah, and less
Like the rubber band, you pull on the rubber band too much, eventually it'll give and it'll break off.
yes.
And so instead, give it grace. Give yourself grace.
Absolutely, like resisting what is present, because if it's present, then it's kind of like neutral, it's not necessarily saying, hey, you're getting this result because you suck, because you're a piece of, like, well, you're getting this result because God is punishing you. Like, I feel like results are pretty neutral. And in fact, slight tangent, but like all of the great masters kind of say that, in our lowest times and in our highest times, that we still should kind of stay centered, in like neutrality, like not get lost in the highs of life. But also, it goes the same way. Don't get lost in the lows of life, but rather stay in center. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. I'm move on. Like get off this burnout because I want to end and wrap up with a little like more uplifting, but like that.
Yeah.
Not that like it's all important to go to, and I will say this on talking about when giving grace, giving. I had a thought, and maybe it'll come back to me. It just left me. crazy move. What's a crazy or craziest move that you've done? I'll just go there. And you mentioned like all this other stuff, like giving grace, but craziest move or something that you just gave yourself grace on, and you maybe did something a little crazy and it worked out.
Okay. Well, there's many crazy moves. Because the life.
Something that you're willing to share.
Yeah. Because I mean, the life of an artist, and I think you're an artist, for example, too. Like, an artist can be anyone who chooses to pave their own path.
Stop right there for a minute. This is a crazy move for me right now. First time for this. I've done plenty of in-person podcasts, but this from my podcast is the first. First in person.
Well, I mean, it feels great, and honestly, I feel really good in your presence. In that, there's kind of there's not too much going around us, but there's other conversations. We got TMZ on the TV right here, but
Right behind the camera.
yeah, but I'm still, and I feel very focused in, feel very locked in. So this is still a good setting.
Yeah, I was trying to find maybe a better location, but this works. I like the orange chairs.
Yeah.
It suits me. I love this. This is only 2 years old. This whole part of the facility. This was not here when I was going to school. All right, hitting the brakes. We
Oh, but you were talking about taking risks. Taking a risk.
risks.
Yeah. So I'll just share one. When I was working for almost 4 years for a music school, music academy, small business type of deal. Teaching piano there, taught thousands of lessons for them, and I just ended up not really, resonating with the work atmosphere there, and so I, decided, all right, well, I'm just gonna teach piano on my own, and it's been going well. I'll say that.
That's great. That's great. Very good to hear. So you hit the brakes. You took step back. You took a pause, brakes, and finding you again. Everything's going good with the piano lessons.
Yeah, man. And can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah.
Like, the thing, you say it's going well, and it definitely is. And I think one of the markers of, success right now for me is the fact that I still love teaching. In fact, I love teaching more than ever. Because if we're talking burnout, teaching 30 to 40 lessons a week, one-on-one lessons, and it wasn't necessarily the students, so to speak. There's a lot of different factors, but now I teach less students, and going to go teach always feels like something I get to do rather than something I have to do.
So let's rack them up. What being we're near. See if I can remember what I was gonna say. Not coming back to me. We talked about summit wisdom already. Covered all that. That's good.
The summit was fun though, man. Honestly, and if anybody listening, I don't know if the next one is like sold out. Lewis was kind of hyping it up real good, but
I don't think it is yet. It's tickets are still available.
Okay, yeah. If anyone is ever thinking about it
at the time of this recording.
Okay, yeah. It's a good event, man. And I know we just said earlier about, like going to events and not applying the wisdom. Trust me. I mean, I don't know who he has lined up for next year or anything, but yeah, man, I trust Lewis, and I know that he doesn't just put on like lame events, where you don't get anything out of it. Like, nah, he's very, very intentional and
very different.
And yes, I'll real quick, like, although I've hyped up everybody, like Cody, Dr. Joe Dispenza, uh, Rory, he's also great.
Rory.
But Lewis Howes, come on, like, I mean, one of the goats of podcasting, and for good reason. He's got a great heart, and so mad respect him.
You're gonna get a little experience. I want to get to that here as we start to wrap up. You're gonna get to experience a part of that. So sit back for that as we wrap up. If you ever listen to this episode, you know exactly where I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah.
The next break. When is your next break? You can do it every year. October, sober October.
Sober October.
Was it good? You're gonna do it again?
I think I might do it again, yeah. And I might have to recruit some folk, just not because
Keep you accountable.
yeah, I mean, because sobriety, like, in and of itself, well, I won't say it's not a virtuous thing to do. I think there is something inherently valuable about having a clean mind and body. But it's like, okay, it's more so about accountability. Yes, is very important, but also just the intention. Like, okay, like, yeah, I'm not gonna drink or smoke, but like, or snort or whatever people like to do. It's more so about, okay, like, we're clearing those things away to hopefully make space for something else that is hopefully more fulfilling, more nurturing than instant gratification. So as far as a whole sober October, yeah, and even right now I'm in a sober phase. So
is there any, like, now's the time to push, like, your lessons, or plug, give you the plug what is you're doing, where can people find you, or your lessons, and how can they get a hold of you?
yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. I got my personal Instagram, Castillo_Naz_T. I have the piano lesson business, which is Castillo TX Piano School. And also have a website, CastilloTXPianoschool.com. I'm on Facebook, and I guess if you friend request me and you look good, like a good person, real person, I'll probably add you.
I just pulled up. If you're still there, I'm on my phone. Jarrett Talks and Sail Whiskey Dreams. Hello. Just
Hey,
want to
what's up?
acknowledge the chat.
You said Sarah and who else?
Sail
Oh, Sail.
Whiskey Dream, and that sounds like an interesting name. Jarrett Talks.
Jarrett Talks.
Jarrett Talks as well.
What up, y'all? How y'all doing? Where are y'all tuning in from? Drop it in the chat.
One's in the house two in the house right now.
All right.
So is that, you just say everything, like, we get a hold of you, like lessons, or if anyone's interested in piano lessons or music?
Yeah. So I mean, right now my main offering is piano lessons. Just a spoiler alert, by God's grace, in about 2 weeks' time, I'll be a certified yoga instructor. And so I'm really excited about that because I'm not necessarily the most flexible yogi, so to speak, but I do have a real passion for sharing the yogic wisdom. And so, yeah, I mean, music is what I do. That's in my blood. It's in my DNA. It's part of my purpose that I was put on here for. But it's a much wider thing that is evolving. So honestly, just look me up on Instagram if you feel like you resonate with what I've said, because I have many more offerings in the works. and I'm very, very excited. But yeah, hit me up if you want to learn piano too.
All right, getting to these bonus questions here. As you might know of them as the three truths, three lessons.
More or less.
When it comes to our devices, our phones, like I'm holding this phone or computer,
Yes.
what are three undeniable truths you've come to learn about having like truths knowing about having a phone? Like what? 'Cause I put a technological spin to it.
Yeah. Some three truths. I'm not gonna try and overthink this right now. I'll say that technology and phones are definitely meant to be here. Like, I don't think they're evil. I think they've served an amazing purpose at this point with they say we're in the information age, and of course with this information age it can lead to like false information, all kinds of stuff, right? But ultimately I know that as humans we're smart enough to discern truth, and so yes, phones great because they're out here raising our awareness, raising our consciousness. Number two, is that screens have okay, so I said they're good, right? But now I'm about to say that screens have really affected the way that we interact. Rather than just sitting and being like in a waiting room, for example.
Not like this, like we're using technology, but we're actually in person.
Yeah, but it is kind of sad sometimes to see the way that screens take over our attention, because man, we're just searching for petty dopamine, instant gratification, and I mean I'm not judging, but that's kind of one of the I just notice it in people when they consciously choose to engage with their phones rather than their surroundings. And it's such an easy way to just check out. Like, you're not even there, But it takes a lot more heart, and it takes a lot more heart. I was going to say balls, but I already said it. To just be, like to just be okay with other people seeing you. So, yes, they're great because they've raised consciousness. Their technology is not so great because it's impaired our ability to socialize and just be. The third truth I'd probably say is that okay, I'll leave this one for the youth, for the kids, is that I do believe this younger generation coming up, I have my daughter, she's 3 years old. People can say all they want about this iPad kid generation. And trust me, I've taught a lot of iPad kids, so to speak, right? I don't use that term really. But we as parents, as people with more, we're just, what's the word? Oh, yeah, more mature people who have parents, or excuse me, who have kids, bro, we have to really, really be conscious of what our kids are consuming. So, yes, my kid, she'll watch the tablet sometimes especially if she's with grandma. When she's with me, she's watching like TV shows or movies, things that aren't like TikTok scrolling, because that's what. And again, I'm not trying to shame anybody or judge anybody, because we have to do what we got to do sometimes to get these kids to sit still. But if we know that TikTok scrolling or Instagram Reels scrolling for an hour, like what that does to our brain, bro, just imagine what it does to a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old. nah, like technology is really good, but when it comes to our kids, we have to step up as parents and teach our kids how to work with their emotions, how to work with their energy. And that's a big reason why, of course, I teach music, but that's why I'm so passionate about the yoga, because through yoga, through pranayama, through meditation, through prayer, all of these things, we can work with our energy, because when we have too much energy that like we don't even know what to do with it, and so we're like just all over the place, man, like we got to think about our kids, and I have full faith in the next generations. Y'all know this, when y'all get older and I'm an old man, y'all can know that I gave y'all the shout out, right? But right now, y'all are the babies, we're the adults, and so we're going to do our best to give you guys some screen time, because bro, I just watched Moana 2. Fire. Great movie. Wouldn't have been possible without a screen and technology. And now these movies too, they have great messages. Man, some of these some of the kid shows we came up on were straight like there's just a lot of meaning in the things that are being put out, but as parents, we got to do what is best for the kids. So, number one, technology, great tool for raising consciousness. Number two, screens, not that great because we've lost our ability to socialize and just be. And number three is we need to be very, very discerning when it comes to technology and our youth, because the youth is everything. The children, the babies, the ones that aren't even born yet, they are the future. And so we have to do right by them.
Like you said, raising awareness is that for the first one. Great, those are great overall. No wrong answers. It's just whatever came to mind.
Yeah, maybe I should have done like one sentence. I don't know
Yeah.
if Lewis asked that.
But,
He's like, do it in one sentence.
I also like to like go into lessons, but you kind of like incorporate the lesson. You kind of incorporate my next phase into that as well. So you incorporated the lessons into that, which is great. And then the final question I like to end on. We talked about technology and everything. What's your definition of innovation?
I think right now, definition of innovation is from the inside out. So we've already created the greatest, and it's still growing, VR, virtual reality, the screens.
Faster, higher, increases each day. Or look at the camera.
Facts, yes. But the true innovation right now is from the inside out. It's from the heart and the soul. And so I think innovation means to transcend what we think is possible, but not by talking about it, right? It's one thing I'm talking about it, but it's another thing to actually be transformed from the inside out and to really become who we came here to be. That, I think, is the greatest innovation of our time, of our consciousness, of our hearts and our souls.
Follow what's in here, and you can never go wrong.
Yes, amen, brother.
So podcasting, I everything I always say. People always ask me about podcasting. Like I think that's great. Haven't found a single thing I don't like about podcasting. And now I've just done on this podcast, my first in-person podcast. I want to thank you for being my first in-person guest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My man Nazaret Castillo.
That's right.
From Houston, Houstonian, H-Town.
H-Town. Till we drown.
What? There's something on drowning in H-Town, but that was like hurricane weather related.
Oh yeah, man.
Turn around, don't drown is coming up to mind right now.
Oh yes, that is we do say that in Houston. But we still don't learn sometimes.
But thanks for this. This was fun. Great. Thanks for bearing with me the time. I know you got to get going, and this was great. I'll stick around for a little if anyone's here, but I'll
Did anyone drop an emoji?
Nazaret.
Anyone drop an emoji in the chat?
Check the chat real quick. Gen X, good to see you fellas. 2 in the house. Gen X in the ear. Gen X is listening.
Oh, hey Gen X.
I take
Great to
that
hear
as
from
he's
you.
listening. Ear. Hello. But yeah, a strong arm and good to hear you fellas from Gen X.
Aw,
The Gen X
appreciate the
effect.
love.
Shout out to the chat there, the live chat. So I'm glad I pulled up the phone so I can, because my computers are way over there.
Yeah.
I can still acknowledge the chat. But thanks again. This was fun, and back on again.
Yeah, we're gonna
sometime.
have to do this again.
And maybe come back here. And I know there's not time to I'll do like a virtual tour. I'll walk around before I leave and everything. There's a good Mexican hamburger place I'm going to check out before as I head back out. But
Oh, all right.
Mexican or hamburgers, they're right next door. Like, what do you want, burgers or Mexican? I'm thinking going for Mexican.
Yeah.
But thanks again. I'll let you go. I'm going to still stick around with the chat here and see if anyone's there, and then I'll close everything down.
Thank you so much, Tommy, and thank you to all the listeners that are present in the live chat and those that will watch later on. Man, y'all give Tommy some love. Y'all check him out on his socials, and we're gonna collab again very soon.
Yeah, and maybe next time I'll get a little better at this location setup.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's perfect. Round 1. I can't wait to see who you have for podcast number 2. You got anyone in mind?
Podcast in person number 2.
Yeah.
I had several. I had a bunch online and virtual, but this was the first in person. And I have produced a lot of in person. On another one that I was doing for the Toastmasters thing, and those were pretty much all in person, except for a few that were. If it's distance, then yeah, we'll go virtual. But I've done a lot of in-person producing, but not hosting like this. This is, again, the first. I feel at home here.
Amazing. All right. See y'all later.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. It's always a blast exploring the tech universe with you. But alas, it's time to wrap things up. If you've got burning tech questions or just want to say hello, remember you can reach out to us on our website, social media, or drop us an email. We love hearing from you. And if you found this episode as electrifying as we did, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us keep the tech goodness flowing. Don't forget to share Tech Time with Sweet Tea with your fellow techies. The more, the merrier, right? As we sign off today, always remember that tech is a tool and it's here to serve you. So use it wisely, explore fearlessly, and keep it real in your tech adventures. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep rocking the digital world. Catch you on the next episode of Tech Time with Sweet Tea.